here. So we're going to go for a vertical scan. There's the balloon, climbing up towards him. Rolling over, and we're going to go for 2 Fox2s. This is the last balloon that should get him. And the balloon has defended. Well, not quite. I've got guns, and there's 20 Mike. Splash balloon, and we have a victory. Hey guys, welcome aboard Plasma 1945. Looking at these gorgeous balloons. This is Project Hab. I've put a link to it in the description where you can download and install it as a mod, but today it is a series of friendly looking Winnie the Pooh balloons, which are floating at altitudes between 50 and 70,000 feet. And we are going to go and pop them in a Flanker and in an F-15. What we're looking for here is our ability to be able to take down those balloons, not using an F-22. I thought there'd be a video from valued viewers or from Mr. It Is a Merge, but there wasn't too much detail on this, so I figured I'd give you a bit more information on high altitude intercept. I've modified the Lua files for this mission so the balloons can fly way above their normal altitude within the original mod that was released, and also decreased their heat signature to 1/10 of a flanker, as well as the radar signature to 1 square meter, which is approximately somewhere between an F-18 and a Tomahawk cruise missile. This simulates a little bit closer the actual capability of the spy balloon of unknown origin that we're trying to lock here. And as you can see on my screen here, I am Mach 2, 12,000 meters, looking for that balloon, and I just lost track. There it is again, and we have a lock on the balloon. Now, as you can see, its radar signature was tiny, and we're going to go for a Fox 1 launch. Now, this Fox 1 launch is within very close parameters because the radar does have a challenge spotting that balloon. And of course, that's because it has a very limited cross-section. So the payload of the balloon is the only thing that the F-22 could really lock onto with its radar. The balloon itself is transparent to radar because the signal goes right through the mylar plastic that it's made out of. All right, first balloon is splashed. We're looking for the second one now, and we've got a couple of more missiles for him. One of the key things here is to maintain altitude and maintain very gentle maneuvers because there's not a lot of air up at this altitude to really maneuver, and we're going to see that in a few seconds here. Now, our second balloon, looking for him in data link, and I actually spot him off to my left here just to get a bearing on him. So radar on, looking for that balloon again, scanning up and down. I can visually see it, but the radar's just not picking the balloon up as I'm closing towards him. As you can see, I'm about Mach 1.5 at, well, pretty darn high. All right, we've got a successful lock, and we go for a missile launch on that balloon. But let's get a little closer and see what kind of shot we can take. As you can see, I still don't have launch authorization. That's because there's not enough heat signature for the missile to lock on. So we go. There's a Fox3 R73. I had to get really close, you know, way closer than you would with a jet, just because the heat signature from the balloon has been reduced to kind of simulate what maybe the real balloon was, and that is about, well, about 1/10 of a flanker's engine in non-afterburner. So looking for a third balloon. It's a bit tricky. I know it's somewhere off to my right, and I'm scanning with radar, looking up and down, but unless you've got a wingman who can spot that balloon, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. So radar can't see him. You need AWACS, or you need your wingman to actually have visual on that balloon. Now, these balloons, of course, are not of the same size, so they're much harder to spot, and some of them do descend. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out the mod to make them stay up in the air properly because they are based on a helicopter, and no matter what I did, I couldn't quite make them hover, but at least I stopped them from falling down to the ground quite like a stone. So all of them will start falling, but not necessarily as quick as a helicopter losing power at 70,000 feet. So I'm coming to the turn here. I spot the balloon right there visually. Radar couldn't help me. Spot it visually, and I'm turning in now. Switching out to missiles, and as you heard there, my airplane actually started losing air, so it reached maximum angle of attack at that altitude because the air is so thin up here. make sure I'm still in afterburner and trying to get my nose onto that balloon. I'm tracking it visually at this point, and there you go, co-altitude with the balloon. It's descending, but still got a pretty good beat on him. Top-down shot. Look for that authorization. I still have no authorization. Still no authorization. The balloon has gone defensive. It is upside down, inverted, and extending away. There you go, launch authorization. Fox, 2 missiles out. Splash balloon at point-blank range. Long live the flanker. Down with the balloon. It has been splashed. The balloon had gone defensive, guys. Alright, with that balloon down, we're going to go look for the next balloon and see if we can take him down. Just to make sure that they don't crash the game, because unfortunately modifying the Lua files to make them fly so high for whatever reason causes the balloons to crash the entire DCS program as soon as they get through about 10,000 feet. I did some weird hacking there. Alright, as I come through the turn here, I spot the balloon visually. Radar isn't doing too much for me, and I realize that I have smoke generators on my wings and not missiles at this point. So I'm thinking, how am I going to engage it? I do have launch authorization, and the balloon is still above me. I am starting to lose speed here. Again, there's not enough air up here to get a proper bit of speed. I'm looking at my wings, and at this point I'm thinking to myself, I think those are R73s. What I didn't realize is that those were the smoke generators I put on this aircraft. So they're not really going to shoot anything. Balloon's on my nose, and as you can see, my airspeed is dropping. There's just not enough air for the engine to pull in and to drive my aircraft at this altitude and at this angle. Alright, let's go for guns. Finally I get gun lock, but it's too late. The radar just couldn't range to the balloon because of the low radar cross-section, and I can no longer pull my nose up. I'm just blowing through, stalling out, and inverting out here. Alright, no problem. I can recover from this invert, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the mighty F-15. Alright guys, so we're now in the F-15. We've got a couple of AIM-120s, we've got some Sparrows, and we've got some Sidewinders. Let's see what the F-15 can do. The F-15 radar is currently second to none in DCS as of 2023. It is the most powerful radar, and we get a good lock on the balloon in front of us. Just making sure of their altitudes and make sure that I'm targeting the lowest one. And this balloon has apparently has picked up my radar lock and is going to go defensive again. I thought I put into the parameters that the balloons will ignore radar locks, but for whatever reason the ace pilot in the balloon probably has visual tally on me and has decided to engage in an air-to-air combat with me. Cycling weapons as I close down on the balloon, maintaining my speed, maintaining level to ensure that I don't lose speed. Once you lose speed at this altitude, you are in trouble. You cannot afford to lose speed. I do have a good stable lock, just cycling through my weapons and waiting for a good shoot cue. Balloon does some weird maneuvers there, confuses the heck out of my radar. Let's relock him again. Just lost him. That maneuver has gone into an aggressive vertical dive. Yeah, that's not really supposed to happen. Still no ability to lock the balloon. It's changing altitude and descending. My only hope here is to get a vertical scan on him. That should become active at about 10 miles, but because of the small radar cross-section, we really do need to get very close to the balloon here. There we go, got a lock, Fox3. And interestingly enough, the radar lock is almost dropped right away. I relock again, but the missile has gone off the rail, and there's splash balloon with an AIM-120C. Great success. All this flying has put another balloon pretty much vertically above me. I can see it. Cycling through my systems. I need to get them into vertical scan here. There's a lock. Which missile to use? Another Fox 3. All right, splash. But as you can see, this is the challenge that the F-22 pilots would have had to deal with. Their radars are probably better than the F-15C and DCS, although the F-15 radar is pretty darn overpowered in DCS. We are quite high up, and we need to take down the last balloon that's at around 52,000 feet here. But some good successful splashes there. So let's target the last balloon and put him out of his misery. Our weapon loadout at this point is 2 AIM-9s and 2 Sparrows. Drop tanks and let's find additional balloon targets that I've added here. Alright, next balloon has been locked. On our nose, and we're going to wait for that. We do have launch authorization. I do want to make sure I get close enough to get a good hit on him. Now we are using the Sparrows, and they should be tracking in pretty much single target track here. Alright, Fox 1 Sparrow on its way towards the balloon. Pretty long flight time. And I tried to adjust the atmosphere temperature to see if I can get some cons on the aircraft, but unfortunately even too high for contrails. There must have been a lot more humidity in the air, and the temperature was different above the Carolinas where those F-22s were conning. Alright, there's a hit Fox 1 impact on the balloon. Let's keep going. Let's look for the next one. Big fireball next to me. I'm looking around for the next balloon, trying not to cheat, trying to spot the next balloon visually. If I had an AWACS, it probably would have helped out, but I think that's why there was the 2 F-22s flying. One aircraft had the balloon tracked visually, and the second aircraft was taking the shots. Another shot on him. But if you don't have an idea where the balloon is, it's extremely hard to spot. You need some sort of magical eyes. There we go, got him on radar. And we have a launch authorization. Or there was launch authorization, but it has dropped off all of a sudden. That's the beauty of a small radar cross-section. There you go, Fox 1. One more Sparrow on its way towards the balloon. Very much like with the EO track and the R73 being really at minimal range to lock onto a target with its reduced heat signature, the radar signature being decreased also makes the target much easier to lose, well, much harder to lock in the first place, but also much easier to lose lock on. And this is more critical, actually it's just as critical for all missiles, but it is just as critical for the Fox 1 missile because you have to guide that missile all the way to the target. I'm glad that these maneuvering balloons are not going too defensive on me. So again, third balloon should be right on my nose. I can see him, I just can't lock him. I'm slowing my radar up and down. Still no lock. I do have quite a bit of speed here. So we're going to go for a vertical scan. There's the balloon, climbing up towards him. Rolling over, and we're going to go for 2 Fox 2s. This is the last balloon that should get him. And the balloon has defended, well, not quite. Okay, guys, so this is actually really cool. So the balloon has not defended. The missile does not have enough air density at this altitude to make its turn. And I think that's why the AIM-9X was the missile to use, because the AIM-9X is much more aggressive in its ability to turn after a target. Also, it was launched on from below, but I've got guns, and there's 20 Mike splash balloon, and we have a victory. Plasma 1945 out.